The idea of finding a legendary or even high quality point and shoot film camera at a thrift store or charity shop is definitely an alluring one, but could take years of consecutive weeks going and searching to find anything worthwhile. While yes, you can probably find some type of film camera, whether it's working, has a shitty plasticky lens, or some other mysterious non-working component is a whole different question. Now, I don't want to discourage you from giving the $5 point and shoot a shot, but banking on that being the camera to be the one that is going to capture hundreds of rolls of memories with friends or family and not break of some major errors along the way is honestly a little unrealistic. Especially when you're first starting out, having something that is super easy and makes you want to shoot is honestly one of the most important things. Because of that, I encourage all my friends to do just a little bit of research to look into what type of cameras are available, what type of content they want to be shooting, and how the camera that they choose will impact that. After all, cameras, especially film cameras, ones that are from the 1990s and earlier, definitely have strengths and weaknesses. Think of them somewhat like tools. A hammer is going to help drive a nail in, but it's not going to help you do anything with a screw. Same thing when it comes to film cameras. A point and shoot camera may be great for informal party type stuff, but it's not going to be nearly the same level as a camera that's more dedicated for landscapes, portraits, etc. With that being said, film and film cameras in general have a fairly steep barrier to entry, so I figured I would help you out and list off a handful of cameras that I would suggest to you guys or any of my friends moving forward wanting to shoot film in 2025. First, the Ricoh FF90. The Ricoh FF90 is definitely striking in its look, to say the least. Being a product of the 80s, it certainly looks the part and evokes a sense of nostalgia, certainly. The camera's lens is a sharp Ricoh 35mm f2.8 lens. On top of the camera, it has a large LCD display, again reeking of the 1980s. It also has adjustability for different film speeds from 25 to 1600, a nice feature not seen on many cheaper film cameras. With its autofocus and automatic film advance, you can simply focus on shooting photos and not the technicalities of it, which for a beginner is probably the priority, let's be honest. It also has a built-in flash for some of those darker situations and comes in at only around $60. All in all, the Ricoh FF90 is one of the better, cheap point-and-shoot cameras that you can get today. Reliable, small, and the perfect amount of features, it's a great first camera to start off our list. Next up is the Olympus Pen. Now, this isn't a specific model, but more so the Olympus Pens as a whole. For my recommendation, there isn't necessarily any one camera specifically, but rather, if you're patient, you'll be able to find a good quality pen for pretty cheap. The pen is a compact half-frame camera, meaning that you get double the amount of frames and it shoots half frame per every normal frame of a normal 35mm camera. The older models are going to be more minimal, not having an autofocus, and will be pretty much entirely manual. Whereas the newer models have some more features and, more importantly, auto exposure. In the modern world of our vertically integrated phones and social media, this may be a good means of shooting film for cheap. It's already formatted for social media in 2025 and beyond, and you're getting more frames per roll because it is a half-frame camera. A good alternative to the newer, more expensive Pentax 17 that recently came out this past year. These pen cameras come in at around $100 to $200 depending on the model, which I personally think is a good jumping off point. Following that, a much more budget-friendly option, the Olympus AF-10. The AF-10 isn't a top-tier point and shoot by any means, but it certainly is not a low-tier camera either. It's a perfect middling camera for beginners that is cheap, but still has a good quality, sharp lens, accurate auto exposure and autofocus, and a flash that's pretty punchy. Not to get too philosophical here, but genuinely a good point and shoot that you can travel with and throw in your pocket for a night out is going to be a great stomping ground to learn about how film reacts in different lighting environments. It's a simple, small camera without tons of crazy features, and honestly, that's the beauty in it. The AF-10 comes in between $50 to $100, which again is a great price point for someone wanting to dive into film photography. Up next, a little bit different of a thought process, disposable cameras. Okay, while I wouldn't suggest this, honestly, I can understand the thought process. However, think of this. If a disposable is, $20? It only takes a handful of them to quickly rack up a bill that would have been more economical to just purchase a real camera. With that being said, there is something to be said about how a disposable camera's lens look and all of its lo-fi artifacting, but a common ground between these two would be a reusable disposable. With these, they're plastic cameras very similarly to a normal disposable, but can be loaded with your own film as many times as you want. This gives you that extreme ease of use and the aesthetic without needlessly paying for more cameras just to end up throwing them in a landfill in a couple weeks.
There's a bunch of these, and I know Willem has been selling some as well, so take your pick. However, just know the biggest problem with these is the total lack of control, which ultimately will lower your success rate substantially over time as you're using them and as you could just learn how to actually shoot film manually. Next is the Canon Rebel S2. The Rebel S2 is definitely not a sexy camera by any means, especially if you like the look of the metal cameras from the 1960s and 70s, but many of these plastic, turning of the age film cameras are still incredible cameras. It takes modern EF lenses, which opens up the possibilities infinitely almost. It has a ton of different modern features, which is nice, and it will even sing you a song. It has a built-in flash as well, which when shooting indoors can be damn near essential, and even shoots up to 1/2000th of a second for shutter speeds, which is pretty dang quick. The camera comes in at $75 or so, which is a super cheap entry point to get into film, especially with how many features are on these cameras. If you're okay with this aesthetic, then this is probably one of the best cameras, if not the best, on the list. Next up, the Minolta SRT101. Okay, the Minolta SRT101 is one of the most popular, simple, reliable, and easy to fix SLR models, and best of all, they're super cheap. However, it does come with some shortcomings, waffle grid focusing, which can be a little confusing and wonky, and there's no hot shoe adapter, which can be honestly annoying if you want to mount a flash, as it really limits the amount you can mount to it. Alternatively, like the Olympus Pen, you could look into the SRT 102, 202, 201, or any of the newer Minolta bodies, which doesn't have any of these issues. Again, these are great manual SLRs that are amazing to learn on. While some of the point shoots are great for getting an end result easily, these Minolta SLRs are incredible for beginners learning how to use cameras, how to expose properly, compose properly, etc., etc. The SRT 101 and other similar cameras come in at around $150, which again I think is not a bad place for a first 35mm camera. Another Minolta camera next, the X370. Another great manual camera here with aperture priority that is going to let you learn the basics while still holding your hand enough to get some good images right off the bat. These cameras came at a time between the older metal style cameras and more modern plastic film cameras. It has a good range of ISOs from 12 to 3200 and has a variety of removable lenses as well. It also shoots up to 1/1000th of a second, which is nice high-speed shutter for such a cheap camera. Speaking of that, the camera comes in at $100 or less. Another great starting point when it comes to starting to shoot film. And last but certainly not least, the analog AF-1. Alright, I don't want to spend too much time on this as I have a full video and the camera isn't technically out yet, but the analog AF-1 is an upcoming point and shoot from a brand based out of the Netherlands. It's a premium autofocus camera modeled after some of the most illustrious and legendary point and shoot cameras ever made. It comes with a 35mm f2.8 lens, promising sharp, clear photos even in low light. It also comes with tons of other modern features, a powerful flash, automatic film loading, light metering, and more. However, like I said, it's not technically out yet, but is aiming to come out this summer, so we'll see. I personally won't hold my breath that they'll meet that summer deadline, but for $350 and a 2-year warranty, this seems like a great camera for someone who wants a premium point and shoot film camera in 2025.
Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for the list, and with that being said, there's obviously tons and tons of different cameras that are applicable and could make this list that would be great beginner cameras to shoot, but if I was to keep going on, we'd be here all day. For now, I think this is a really solid list to get your toes wet when starting to shoot film in 2025. There's a variety of different price points and a good variety of different photographic styles and cameras that will help lean into any specific type of photography you want to do. I just recently also put out a best first beginner medium format cameras video, which I kind of think a lot of people missed, but I think it's going to be a really valuable resource for people looking for medium format cameras in 2025. So definitely check that out. Otherwise, it's going to pretty much wrap it up for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comments which camera you would recommend to a friend if they were starting to shoot film in 2025. As like I said earlier, I don't think there's necessarily a correct answer, but more so if it fits your price point, style you're looking for, and if it fits the photographic style you want to achieve with it. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay shooting. Till the next one, adios.